Hi there, welcome to this tutorial which is all about writing a report for the SEND framework. So first of all, once you've logged into your Tapestry account on the browser, you'll need to go to Reports along the top, and when you're in the overview page here, you'll see on the right hand side you can add a report. Now if you scroll down to the SEND option and select that, you get a new box that says, are you sure you want to do it on an SEND? And you choose the child you want to do it for. So today I'm going to do a report for this child, Daniel Grant, and I'm just going to add it. Once I've added the report, it takes me to the new report page. Here I can see the child that was selected and the report template. So for this instance, it's SEND. I then can put a title for my report, so for this time I'm going to call it a spring term report. As with all reports on Tapestry, if you don't give it a title, you are unable to save it. I can also change the status of the report, so I can either leave it as a draft, published, so it is visible to relatives straight away, or I can make it for staff only. For this example, I'm going to leave it as draft. I can also change the time and the date of the report, so if I wanted to do it in the past, I could go choose the date, and by clicking on the little clock here I can also select a different time. So if I wanted it at 1 o'clock on the 10th of February, I would just select it like that. The next section is all about the child. It automatically has the date of entry to the setting, so in this case the 14th of August 2017, and the child's date of birth. Now in this example I can also put in the class and the teacher. So if I wanted to put the class as in Starfish and the teacher as my name, I can do so. I can also, if I didn't want to put this information, I could also hide those fields. After that, the next section is for the characteristics of effective learning. Now in this section, this is our place to put an overview of the child's playing, learning and thinking. So I'm going to add it in now. Once I've added in that information, I can then move on to the next section. If I didn't want to write anything about the characteristics of effective learning, I could also hide that whole section. The next section is for the SEND part of the report. Now you'll notice this blue box here says assessments last filled from the period spring term 2019-20, which is the current period that we are in. If I wanted to choose a different assessment period, I could just click Fill Assessments and I could select the period that I wanted to. So if I wanted to go back to the autumn term, I'd do that and it would take the data from there. For this example, I'm going to do it for the full year. And you will see that it has brought in all the observations for this child for the whole year. The first section I can then put in is for the personal, social and emotional development. And this is where I can put in my staff notes. So here we go. Once you've added your notes, you can then scroll down to the three parts that make up this aspect. In this one, it's making relationships, self-confidence and self-awareness, managing feelings and behaviours. You'll notice that each of these is broken down into stage, proportion of statements, score, max score and percentage score. The stage shows the stages that you have assessed that child to be in. So in this example, for making relationships, the stage is set at stage 4. Each of those stages have got a number of statements. The proportion of statements shows how many of those statements have been ticked. So for this example, 3 out of the 11 statements have been ticked. The score, max score, is calculated using the refinements. A score of 1 is given for emerging, 2 for developing and 3 for secure. The max score is shown as the number of statements times 3, which is the maximum you can get for each statement. So for this example we've got 11 statements times the 3, which is your max score of 33. The percentage score is the score divided by your max score and turned into a percentage. You can also select observations to see which observations are contributing to this score. So if I click on it for this one, I can see that playing was the only observation and it was for stage band 4 and it's got all the refinements were for developing. I can also put in the next steps. So if there are any next steps that I want to include in this report, this is my place to put it. If I didn't want to put any, I could just hide the field and it will not show when I export it. It then goes on to communication and language, so I need to put my notes in. Now I've got my notes, I could then go and look at the score. You'll notice though in this one, I've got no assessment data because I've got no observations that relate to it in this set period. So I may want to hide these ones. Again, if I don't want to show any next steps, I can hide that as well. Let's do the same for physical development. There are my notes, and again, no assessment data, so therefore I'd like to hide that, and I've got no next steps in this report. And next I go on to my literacy. And once again, I'm going to hide my categories for those because there's no assessment data. And I've got no next steps. Once more for mathematics. And I'm going to hide these categories and the next steps. Now for this report, I don't want to put the understanding the world, so I'm going to hide the category completely, and the same for expressive arts and designs. I then have a space to put any additional information. So if I've got an IEP for the child, I may want to put anything that relates to that IEP into this report. If not, I can always hide that field. If there are any external professionals working with a child, this is an area where you can put some comments from them. Again, if not, feel free to hide it. The additional information box allows you to put information that you don't think fits anywhere else, but still want to include it in the report. Again, for this report I haven't got anything, so I'm just going to hide that one. The last section of my report is called Media, and this is an area where I can upload photos, videos, Word files or PDFs to my report. And to do so, I just need to drag and drop them into this box here, or I can go into the Add Files and there, like this. Once I've selected the file, I must remember to upload it, so I just click the green button, Start Upload. And it is uploaded and ready. I can then save my report, or save and add another if I have others to do. Once I've done that, off it goes. Remember, if you have selected it as a published one, instantly it will go to the relatives. And that is how you create a report for the SEND.